Hello and a very warm welcome to this special edition of Rajya Sabha Television. As India's aviation sector is spreading its wings to script novel success stories, we get into a candid conversation with Civil Aviation Minister Mr. Suresh Prabhu to map the growth trajectory of this sector, to take stock of the policies, programs and initiatives as India is set to displace United Kingdom as the third largest civil aviation market by the year 2025. Welcome to Rajya Sabha Television, Mr. Prabhu. Mr. Prabhu, more than 600 aircrafts are flying in the Indian skies. Hundreds are expected to be added to the fleet. Air travelers are burgeoning at 20%, exceeding the global average of 7.3%. Investment is pegged at $15 billion by the year 2020. How do you look at the future of India's aviation sector?
That India would be the largest aviation market in the world in the next few years' time. This is largely coming out of the fact that there is so much of aspirational demand that is there in India. See, when I was a young boy, I used to always look up to the sky and say, when I will be able to fly this aircraft. So I couldn't do that. So I used to buy a little bit toy aircraft which my parents used to give me, and I used to play with it. So everybody's desire is to fly by, sometime to actually use the airlines and fly. But that was not possible because of many reasons. One was the affordability. Thanks to our Prime Minister, when we launched this Udaan, now it has become not only affordable, but also accessible. Udaan 1 and Udaan 2 has connected so many new places which were never hitherto on the air map of the country. In Udaan 3, which will be announced very soon, you will see significant increase in the accessibility of a magnitude. Third is the convenience for the people. Now what we are doing is, and this is going to be dramatically changed, is we came out with a regulatory policy on how can even we use airplanes, rather water planes. So you can drop, we can actually land not on, the aircraft need not land on land, it will actually land on the water. The airport, or we can call it aerodrome, will be in the water itself. So these are new dimensions. So islands, we have 7,600 kilometers of coastline, the states in coastline. The water, not only islands, but even big ponds, big water bodies, big rivers, all of that can be used for landing aircrafts. So just imagine the changes that is going to take place. And this again is going to help in many other ways, because today without airport you cannot have a air connectivity. Land is becoming a big challenge for India, because the same land, we have only 2.2% of the land of the world, which has to use for all types of infrastructure, for railways, for aviation, for water bodies, for everything. And same land you have to use for agriculture, same land you have to use for housing, same land you have to use also for industry. So it is becoming extremely challenging. So this new dimension that we added is a game changer. And therefore, very soon we will see significant improvement. So what you are asking me is a very good point. Boeing has said India is going to need 2,300 new aircrafts in the next few years' time. And I can see this 20% growth will even exceed if we can provide the infrastructure, which is the challenge today. So this aviation summit, and I am very happy that Rajya Sabha TV has focusing on that aviation summit is going to bring together all the stakeholders in aviation industry from almost 89 countries of the world. And by the time we inaugurate it, it might even be more, because every day we are getting new registration and new people are saying we like to participate. So that is again going to be a decider as to how aviation sector should grow in the future. So we are working on all these aspects.
You've mentioned about Udaan. Now Prime Minister talks about Hawai Chappal to Hawai Jahaz Ki Yatra. Udaan was launched in the year 2016. 2 years hence, how do you evaluate its progress?
So this has resulted, this is what the Prime Minister's vision has been, that everybody, so more importantly, there is no point providing more air travel. Of course, we should do that only to those who are anywhere traveled in the past. So of course, that is needed because business travel is going to expand. So people, we have to do that. But a real happiness, that's a success part that everybody doing, so we can improve profitability. That's a good part. But the happiness, inner happiness will come only when you see that a person who otherwise could not even imagine to travel, and that's what Prime Minister talked about, Hawai Chappal, are the ones who cannot even afford a proper good chappal. He is buying, that's why he is buying Hawai Chappal. So that person is able to travel by plane. This is going to be the real game changer for it. And that's why we very strongly feel that this has been a great success.
Yes.
If you go to the airport today, you will see the people who are traveling are the ones first time travelers. So that we'll have to train them specially how to tie the belt, everything. So this is a very good sign of happiness that we are seeing now people traveling by the air for the first time, and this number is increasing more than those who have traveled in the past. So first time traveler number is constantly increasing, and that's a sign of happiness.
So you've also launched the Nav Nirman scheme to expand the airport capacity to handle 1 billion trips a year. Tell me about the major achievements of this airport augmentation program.
We had 77 airports only a few years ago. Now we have 101 airports today as I talk to you, of which one airport which Prime Minister launched in Sikkim, which is the engineering marvel. So we have airports at all levels. Now we are planning another 100 airports in the next few years' time, that maybe 10, 12 years' time, with an investment of $65 billion. So we'll be not only 77 to 101, from 101 will become 200 in a matter of few years' time. In addition to this, does not include the number when we planned it, includes those new air facilities which will be created on the water bodies. So that is again a new dimension to it. So I think we must expand capacity, and for that capacity expansion we need new airports, and therefore we are working on a new policy also. Can we tie up with the state government, when state government and central government will actually share it. In fact, this is what I've done in the railways. We started doing joint venture with the states. So it's a joint venture company which will develop, as is doing in the case of railways, they will develop airports, and that will be cost will be shared, as well as the losses also will be underwritten partly by the state governments.
So which policy would this be?
So this is, we are already, template is there, we are discussed with many states, and soon probably Jharkhand will be the first state which will be signing with us in the next few weeks' time.
The Cabinet has also cleared a proposal to develop 6 airports under the public-private partnership mode. How will that improve efficiency?
This is a very clear issue. As I told you, $65 billion more investment is needed. Now the government has limited resources, and as you can yourself have identified, there is unlimited demand. So how can we meet that unlimited demand with limited resources? So if we can get private sector participation, that releases the resources available for more expansion, and therefore more people can come in and more people can travel by it. So we are definitely trying to use that mode of private-public partnership. There have been some successful models of that, but of course the process has to be completely transparent. It has to be friendly to our people who work in the airport authority. We cannot have any displacement of them. We also must make sure that the state governments are on board, and therefore we are trying to do it. So it's a process, participatory, transparent, forward-looking process only can result in a successful PPP model development.
And when do we see in-flight connectivity?
See, this is why we've taken up this issue very rapidly. Again, maybe this was when I was a Minister of Railways, we started Wi-Fi, and this has resulted into a significant improvement. We've set 400 stations, and more than 400 stations are now connected by Wi-Fi. Konkan Railway, one of the most remotest areas, all stations of Konkan Railway has a Wi-Fi facility. It's unimaginable, because Konkan Railway passed through one of the most difficult terrains in the country, the very difficult terrains. So therefore, but Wi-Fi connectivity is available to them, has resulted in a huge benefit to the passengers. Not only that they can study and they can use the time, travel time for doing something else, but also for complaints. Now the people, when the railway minister, we started this process, that you can lodge a complaint while you are traveling, and we'll address the complaint while you are still not finished your travel. And that has changed the complete dynamics of it. There were so many multinational companies wanted to study this model, how it happens. There have been instances of we reaching out to the passenger when he was most distressed. That's something which we are really helped. A woman was harassed by somebody, a pregnant woman, traveling with a husband. We got those people arrested on the next station. We got a TC was asking money, got him suspended on the next station. So many things. So same thing, I'm not saying the similar complaints, but if passengers going on a long haul flights, passengers still on board are being able to communicate with the people in other parts of the world, will be extremely useful. Nowadays business is instantaneous. People want to not even lose 1 minute of lack of connectivity. So this is again going to benefit. We are taken this matter, and TRAI has already set the guidelines. So soon we'll be able to unveil it for the benefit of the people.
Mr. Prabhu, you've enumerated the achievements, but there are challenges also. spiraling costs are pushing few airlines into the red. How do you propose to address those challenges?
You are absolutely right. This is one of the major issues we have to deal with. This is a deregulated sector. So one is, what you are asking is, the airline going to red means they are losing money. On the other hand, there are complaints that airlines charge more. So both at the end of it, that too less a fare, that's why they are losing money, or too high a fare for some time, that's even less than 1% of the highest fare that is charged. 99% is reasonable, but at 1% also raises eyebrows, because that's the time when you go and book the ticket immediately, just before you fly, the rates are the highest. But therefore, fixation of fare, should it be done by the government administratively as they were doing before, or should allow the markets to determine, and there should be some sort of a guideline that should be issued. So we are coming out with passenger charter, in which airlines will be free to charge, but at the same time they will have to follow certain charter of passengers, so that passengers will not be put to any inconvenience or should not be fleeced. So that's the objective. But profitability, lack of profitability is an issue which airlines must really focus on. When the fuel prices went up, the airlines still, to retain some market share, did not take that into account in their pricing policies, which has put them into some difficult situation. So I think airlines themselves must have a self-regulatory body. They must think about it, because deregulation has resulted in expansion. So we don't want that to be curtailed, and that should be interfered with. We don't want to do micromanagement. At the same time, we are ensuring that more the health, financial health of airlines is better, they will be able to expand more. So they must take that into account.
Mr. Prabhu, talking about Air India now, the disinvestment proposal failed to attract bidders. The government is now planning to rope in professionals for top position through global search. What is the strategy to revive Air India?
See, Air India is clearly suffering because of legacy. Air India's past policies have resulted in Air India accumulating huge debt. The debt is unserviceable on the basis of what the airline's profitability is today. So we must very clearly demarcate between the past and the future. So for the past is concerned, we are working with the Finance Ministry to find out how that past issues can be dealt. As far as the future is concerned, it should be completely based on professionalism. The airlines, the Air India management has always been partially professionalized by getting independent directors who are very high quality, very well respected people. And the second area is to bring in CEO, COO, technology officer, etc. from best people in the world, so that who understand the subject. So that process is already under work, so we are working on it, but will happen. So I think Air India should work on that. At the same time, Air India must work, and that is up to the board. We are not going to decide what Air India should do, because that is a problem. That if we start deciding how Air India should be run, that's a problem. So we have only decided that I will not do it, but professional management will do it. So I am just giving the decision. Same thing in the railways. I said railway board will be running railways, the railway officers will run the railways, the minister will only provide policy guidelines and ensure that they work properly. That's the one thing we do. So I think this is the philosophy behind it. We like to take Air India, fly on the basis of commercial expediency, on the basis of best professional standards, and if they do that, Air India will be a good airline.
The government has also placed a lot of emphasis on enhancing connectivity in the northeast region. Recently, we saw the inauguration of the Sikkim airport. What are the policies and the measures to enhance further connectivity?
See, Northeast is one of the top priority areas. In fact, the government, the Modi government, the amount of work that we have done in the Northeast is phenomenal in terms of connectivity. We, except Sikkim, all the state capitals in Northeast are now connected by railways. I think that's something which is phenomenal achievement. And that Sikkim, which is not connected by railway yet, because that work is still going on with the Gangtok, we need to go through the hilly areas, and we were working on it. And also the Darjeeling Council has to approve it, because most of the airlines will go from their territory. The railway line will go from their territory. As far as airline is concerned, already even Sikkim has got now air connectivity. So therefore, Northeast is a priority. Yes, very soon we will be launching one more project for Northeast. There is a Sikkim, not only Sikkim, all the states. In fact, Assam, the Northeast, is the first state in the country which will have international connectivity through Udan. So we'll go to Bangkok, we'll go to Nepal from Assam. This is one very, very good thing. Yeah.
We've seen several novel components in the aviation sector for the first time. We had the drone policy. We will now have air cargo policy. India also joined the elite club of nations to fly an aircraft on alternative fuel like biofuel. How would these elements transform the aviation sector in the coming years?
See, these are all building blocks for overall aviation growth, because biofuel policy is very important because it's environment friendly. The same thing we did in railways when we had the solar panels, and the solar panel train was run for the first time probably in the world. So this same thing we are doing for biofuels. We are working on a policy which will actually be good for airlines because they will cut cost, but also good for environment because aviation is also one of the significant sectors which emits greenhouse gases. So to reduce the human footprint, we will be able to help it.
The aviation sector employs 2 lakh people directly and around 1.2 million people indirectly. You're planning to make India a hub of manpower training to cater to the needs of aviation industry globally. What would be the impact of this program on employment generation?
See, there will be huge employment generation which is going to happen through aviation. Because if you really look at it, one passenger when he flies, he brings in so many jobs. Like take one example of Dubai. Dubai couldn't have expanded so much without the airport. And the maximum employment generation that happens in Dubai is because of aviation. And also spin-off benefit, because aviation also brings in jobs in tourism. Aviation brings jobs into hospitality. Aviation brings job into transportation, because when you are transporting passenger from hotel to here and there, so all of this is going to result into huge job creation in aviation, for which the other challenge we have to face is train people for skills. So we are doing that in a very significant way. The skilling program is already started. So now for some time you could not even imagine the amount of jobs. Now one more sector which has still not been used effectively and efficiently for promoting job is MRO. So now we are going to do maintenance and repairs. We are going to do that in a big way in India. Therefore, we are coming with the policy, and also we are going to come out with a policy on how India should be the hub and not lose traffic to some transit points outside India. So we are going to work on that, and therefore that will create jobs.
Last but not the least, Mr. Prabhu, talking about safety now. Indian aviation sector maintained the highest audit in 2018 by the global auditors by ICAO. How has the government fortified the entire safety structure of the aviation sector?
Safety is the responsibility of the DGCA. That's a mandate for DGCA. As a minister, I have directed them that they must conform to the highest safety standards. I had asked them to conduct safety audits for all installations, not just airlines, but installations, whether airport or others. So that audit is complete. And they have been constantly, I told them, constant auditing and finding out, and zero tolerance to safety. So anytime we notice a small little discrepancy, we even ask the plane to come down and actually do it. So sometimes globally they will not do it, but we try to do it. Also, 2 international organizations. One is obviously the UN body, which has said that India's safety is highest. They have upgraded India's safety in 2018. Also the US Aviation Organization, US Safety Organization, which is actually very strict. They have downgraded India in 2014, have now upgraded India in 2018. So that shows our safety standards. So no compromise on safety. Safety, accessibility, affordability, and convenience of passenger will always be the priority and will be the integral part of the aviation policy.
So clearly the aviation sector has huge potential. Mr. Prabhu, thank you so much for talking to Rajya Sabha Television.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.